Three. And hi, this is Ken Kraetzer with another episode of Talking Business with Ken Kraetzer. We talk to digital marketers, bankers, insurance company executives, customer service management, and this is our just approaching our 800th episode. So glad to be able to do this. And today we're talking with Kathleen Murphy, who is formerly a global technology executive and now has her own company, Market Me Too, and works with athletic teams and coaches. We're going to ask her about an invisible advantage they can have, and is an author of a new book, Wisdom Whisperer. And Kathleen, good to see you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Ken. Thanks for having me on today. It's good to see you too.
Great to see you. Well, we met up in the Boston area where you work and live this spring. And tell us a little bit about your career. You kind of made a shift from technology to working with athletic teams and coaching.
I did. So just stepping back a little bit, I was working in the tech space, as you mentioned, and I realized that there was a pattern after a number of years that every 2 to 3 years, the companies that I happened to be working for, the point of them being in existence was basically to sell the company and then to move on and to make a lot of people money. And after having done that a number of times over the course of my career, over 20 years, I saw that pattern emerging, and I realized it wasn't necessarily something that I was interested in continuing to do, but I was quite good at it. And so I thought, well, what can I take away from this experience and this wonderful just circumstances that I could turn into maybe doing something differently outside of what I was doing professionally. And I realized that I was really good at developing teams, whether I had to cobble a new team together or if I needed to take two disparate teams and make them play nice in the sandbox and be productive efficiently. And I did take those skills and I took them and also leveraged some coaching that I took, which was to become a Gallup Strengths Coach. Went down to DC to become certified as a Gallup Strengths Coach and practice what I was preaching to help leaders with their teams in the business space. And after doing that for about 4 or 5 years, I realized that there was another area that I wanted to go into, and that was to go into the area of looking at taking what I was doing with helping leaders in the business side of the world and helping leaders, that being actually with a new title called sports coaches in their side of the world, given the work that I was doing as a Gallup Strengths Coach. And so I made the transition into working with sports teams by way of initially taking advantage of COVID and COVID providing some downtime for not only myself, but many coaches. So I embarked upon a research project and I reached out to 52 coaches around the country, two outside of the US, and talked to them about information relating to aspects of coaching and what was it that made them a great coach, or what were aspects of how they looked at recruiting people, how did they approach um, finding new ways to build up their team dynamics, etc. So after doing the initial round of analysis, I realized that the organic sort of buildup of these coaches that I had invited to participate in my research project, which included high school, college, professional, and Olympic coaches, that about 25% of these coaches were championship coaches, national championship coaches, or had gained the equivalency of winning, excuse me, something such as an Olympic gold medal or the Super Bowl, for example. So I looked at their data and I compared it to the coaches that had not been a national championship coach to see if in fact there was some kind of a difference, to see if they had some kind of advantage. And the good news is that my research confirmed that there was in fact some pretty subtle differences in terms of why someone became a national championship coach versus someone who didn't?
Well, that is quite a distinction. If you can bottle that, you think of some of the great coaches in the area, Bill Belichick, in particular in New England with the Patriots. We were chatting. I got the chance to work a little bit with Rick Pitino when he was at Iona University. Also, I knew him at Providence. And I'd say the other coach I work with very closely, Jeff Monken at West Point, the football coach, won 4 Commander-in-Chief trophies. With Army. Um, what were some of the dynamics that you found that separated the most successful coaches?
I would say one of the things that stood out to me was the fact that the championship coaches allow themselves to be authentic and to be vulnerable. That was a couple key characteristics that really separated them from the coaches that unfortunately hadn't yet been able to figure out that championship attainment formula. And that sounds simplistic, and but yet it isn't. To be authentic and to be vulnerable as a coach, particularly when you are competing at the highest levels, is no easy feat. But yet these coaches, both men and women, were able to figure out that at the end of the day, it served them much better to simply just be themselves.
Well, there's so much happening, certainly in the world of college athletics, which I spend a fair amount of time on, with the name, image, and likeness account being able to be a way for players to monetize their college experience, and just and the transfer portal in college sports, so that players can literally move each year. Um, we were just discussing. I was at an Iona University basketball practice the other night, and they have 14 new players on the team. Um, and this is a team that 2 years ago took UConn, led UConn in the NCAA tournament game.
That's right.
So they're a solid program. What do you tell? How do you advise coaches today? Because now they have to recruit and attract players, and they also have to keep the players they have. You develop a player, for 2 years as a freshman, sophomore, and you want to hold on. So what's some of your advice to college coaches today?
Well, it would be the same advice that I would give to my business teams and the leaders on that side of the world. And that is to set your team and the players up for success. So one of the ways that I go about doing that is being a Gallup strengths coach. I have the coaches focus on what are the top strengths of a player, and then make sure that you understand what those are really deeply by way of coaching support that I provide to help them be able to tap in to understand how to motivate those players, how to communicate with those players. Also, just as importantly, what not to do in terms of demotivating a player based on what their particular top five strengths are. And then also how to potentially, depending on what the sport is, how to engage that player with other players. Do you put them in the same lineup based on just your own gut feelings, or do you use some science-based methodologies which can sort of like a moneyballing situation help you to determine the ideal way to pair people that will provide a much more successful performance outcome. So those would be some elements of advice I would share.
Well, Kathleen Murphy, I know I look forward to doing this again, but I want you to just tell us a little bit. You got a book out, Wisdom Whisperer. Tell us a little bit about that, if you would.
Yes. So Wisdom Whisperer is the first of my 3 books, and I was inspired to write that book based on the fact that um, I was working with lots of clients who kept saying, "Is there any way for you to share more of your knowledge with us?" So I thought one of the best ways to go about doing that would be to put it into a book format. So I then took that information and parlayed it into 2 other books as well, um, evolved and inspired by the Wisdom Whisperer. Inspired by the Wisdom Whisperer is in support and an ode to working also with sports teams and work teams, and so that content's a little bit more oriented towards teams.
Well, we'll have to catch up more. And just also a little bit, just a quick summary of your company, Market Me Too.
Yes. So I am an executive sports coach and CEO of Market Me Too, which I started 8 years ago. And I work with business leaders and sports coaches, as well as the team members that support them. I also work with individuals as well, both athletes as well as individual people that come to me for coaching to support them with challenges that would relate to helping them to solve some kind of a conundrum, if you will, that they're trying to reach as a goal through my coaching, my leadership coaching, or my individual coaching to help them get focused on attaining achievements that they're looking to achieve
Okay,
through
great.
mainly awareness. Self-awareness is really key.
And we're going to have you back as we go along in the college football and college winter sports seasons. You got a lot of insight into the massive changes, especially in college athletics, and also maybe hear more a little bit about some of what your thoughts are on the Olympics. We'll have you back. And
I'd love that. Thank you.
Kathleen E.R. Murphy is the founder and CEO of Market Me Too and an author. Lives up in the Boston area. Great for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Have a great day.
You too. This is Ken Kraetzer with another episode of Talking Business with Ken Kraetzer, and it's a division of CaMMVetsMedia LLC. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.